I've taken one playing card and I've written a prediction upon that card. I can't change my prediction because it's made with a magic marker. My prediction will go inside the box for safekeeping so no one can get a glimpse of the future until after it happens. I'm going to have you select one of these cards by picking up the magic marker and touching any card that you wish. It can be any card whatsoever. Your choice is going to be 100% free choice. I'll give the cards a little bit of a shuffle. Now remember, any card that you wish to choose, pick up the marker, lay it upon a card, tap a card, point to a card, however you wish. This one here. Alright, we'll place your selection inside the box with my prediction. I'd like to recap, if I could, just briefly. With the magic marker, I wrote a prediction down upon a card. It's in the box. Your selection is also within the box. With your selection, you could have selected any of these cards. It didn't really matter because the choice was yours. Any card could have been selected. Let's see if my prediction comes true. Inside the box, the two cards that were placed in there, my prediction was the 6 of clubs. Did you choose the right card? The 6 of clubs. The prediction is always right. It happens just like magic. Now for the explanation. The card that you write upon is never written upon. It's simply the 6 of clubs from the very beginning. You just pretend like you're writing something on it. The cards within the box is ordinary, by the way. The top 5 cards are normal cards. There's nothing written upon those, the top 5 cards. And the bottom 5 cards, I've chosen 5 cards for the bottom also, which have nothing written upon them. However, the rest of the deck has the 6 of clubs written upon it, only upon the right-hand side. You notice how I wrote 6 of clubs up near the top because there's very little space. Sometimes I'll spell 6 out, S-I-X. If I don't have the space, I'll simply draw the number 6. All of these cards have the 6 of clubs written upon them. If I ribbon spread them one way, none of the writings will show because it's hidden underneath. 5 of the cards go on the bottom, 5 of the cards which have nothing written on them go on the top, and that's your setup. So you pretend to write something down upon one card. It goes inside the empty box. Now remember, that's the 6 of clubs which has nothing written upon it. You then spread the deck out, ribbon spread it, turn them over, showing the faces of the cards. Now for the shuffle, if you want to shuffle, you have to keep the top stock and bottom stock intact. So you pull off a group of cards, pick them back up with your third finger, holding them apart as you see here. Take off the top 1/3, start shuffling, keeping the top section separate, shuffled in the middle section, then toss out 1/3 packet that you're holding back, toss it back on top, and put the rest of the cards on the bottom of the pack. So you draw from the top a block, you shuffle the center portion only, and the bottom section gets put back upon the bottom. A rather easy shuffle to control the top and bottom stock. You can even go into a riffle shuffle if you want, riffle shuffling off the first 5 cards and letting the last 5 cards fall upon top, so that the top and bottom cards are not disturbed. Anyway, so much for the shuffle. Now when you ribbon spread the cards, watch, you do them in a wide arc because the center section, which is where you want them to draw from, is closest to them. You don't want them to dig into the first 5 cards or the bottom 5 cards, so you leave those in a little block formation, keeping the ribbon spread very tight at that point. So they take the marker and point to any card. don't worry if they do happen to point to one of the 5 top cards or 5 bottom cards. We'll get around that in just a moment. Very simple way to do. Anyway, you take the card that they touch, which has the 6 of clubs written on it, because they all do, except for the top 5 and top bottom. That goes in the box, which will make your prediction come to pass when you take them out. You'll show one card written on, 6 of clubs, my prediction, 6 of clubs, and that's how the end of the trick works. But because you have 5 cards on top, what if they choose one of the 5 cards on top or the 5 cards on the bottom? Well, that's okay. You take it and say, look, that's the card you've chosen. I'm going to use it to insert it into the pack anywhere you want. Now you don't touch the top 5 cards again or the bottom 5 cards. Simply use the queen to go across the spread till they say stop. You insert it into the spread, and that's where they have divided the pack. Hey, between 2 cards, which one would you like? It doesn't really matter whether they say the one on top or the one on the bottom of the queen. They've selected a card in a very random fashion. But this is the way to get around the top 5 and top bottom cards. But trust me, very seldom, once in a blue moon, will anyone go to that degree. But if it happens, you've got all the bases covered. Now remember, the top 5 cards are still there. The bottom 5 cards would still be there. The top 4 or the bottom 5. Doesn't matter if they choose one of those. You swing cut the deck, back jog it so that you can hold a break with a step in the back. You're going to get a break in just a moment. This is where you recap what has happened. 2 cards within the box, but you could have selected any card, you tell them. This is where you pick up at the back jogged card to get a break. Spread about half of those cards, saying, hey, you could have selected any card you wanted to. Now you spread down to the break. So now you have 5 cards, 4 or 5 cards in each left and right hand section that you can lay down upon the table. Tossing cards out haphazardly, saying you could have selected any of these. It didn't really matter. It was a free choice. You then ribbon spread the rest of the pack upon the table. They don't see any writing upon those, and the trick is done. So it doesn't really matter whether they choose the perfect selection by staying away from the top 5 and the top bottom. It doesn't really matter because it's a very simple solution to fix that problem. But anyway, this is one wonderful trick. It's called the Future Deck from Scarney on Cards, and I call it Back to the Future Deck because we revisited it one more time. Thanks for watching. The original version of the Future Deck used 2 jokers along with all 52 cards being written upon. The 2 jokers come into play thusly when the cards were taken out of the box and you go to make your prediction. You look through the deck and you find the 6 of clubs, which doesn't have anything written upon it, and that's the card that you pretend to sign. So the 2 jokers, which are on the bottom, are simply cover cards to cover up the fact that there's the 6 of clubs written upon the faces of the cards. So you pretend to write a prediction upon that 6 of clubs. You write nothing, it goes into the box. Then you can spread the deck upon the table, showing all of the cards. You can remove the 2 jokers because you don't need those. And the cards can be shuffled any way you wish. This way it doesn't really matter how you shuffle the cards. There's no control of the shuffle at all. Doesn't matter what card they even choose because they have all 52 cards to choose from. So the card they choose obviously is going to be written upon already previously. That goes into the box and your prediction comes to pass. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, instead of using the card box, the original version used your hat. So back in the day when this was invented, everyone was probably wearing hats, and they decided just to use that as a receptacle so that at the end you could tip the hat over, the 2 cards would fall out, and the trick would be successful. Anyway, at the end of the routine, you put the 2 jokers back on the bottom of the deck, ribbon spread them again to show the innocence of everything in play, dump the hat over, and the 6 of clubs and 6 of clubs is a perfect match. Anyway, that's the original version, from Scarney on cards, called the Future deck.
My variation from the original routine is a very slight, minimal variation, but I do believe it adds to the overall effect. After their selection is inside the box, you can now spread the cards, tossing some of the cards onto the table, showing that, look, you could have selected any one of these other cards. It could have been this one, it could have been the Jack, the Four, any of these cards, but you selected one card out of 52. Let's take a look and see if my prediction comes to pass. I do believe that this slight variation adds a lot more of psychological deception to this effect.